Hey there everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be going over Nanowrimo and all of the things that entails. So I have my notes here to keep me on track. But okay, so I've participated in Nanowrimo several times over the years. Just kind of depending back and forth on like the I had never done Camp NaNoWriMo until this year, but regular Nano I have done probably about 5 or 6 years. So a few of my pros to NaNoWrimo. Well, first of all, if you don't know what NaNoWrimo is, NaNoWrimo stands for National Novel Writing Month. It is in the month of November, I believe. It's been a long day. I believe it's in the month of November. And then they do have Camp NaNoWrimo in April and July. So this year I did Camp NaNoWrimo, and then last year I did NaNoWrimo. But we'll get into more of that in a minute. But so my pros with NaNoWrimo is it gets you in the habit of writing every day. If that is something that you struggle with, if you struggle to sticking with a structure, it does help get you into the habit of writing every single day. It gives you a daily goal for that day, depending on what your goal count is. So basically what NaNoWrimo is there for is to give yourself an overall goal. So usually mine is 50,000 words in the month that NaNoWrimo is running for. So they'll break that down by 30 days or 31 days, depending on the month. And then it will give you an average that you're supposed to write every month. Mine, I believe, was usually around 1,500, 12 to 15, somewhere in there. But you can change that goal. I believe you can go down to 30,000. And then it can go up to 100,000, I believe. But usually I stick with the 50 is where it just generically places you, and that's usually what I stick to. That works best for me, so that's what I go with. But it kind of just depends on how quickly you can write, how much time you have during that month, and things like that. So my pro number 2 is it gives you an attainable goal. So like I said, the goal is usually 50,000 or whatever you personally set it at. And I feel like the goal that you set needs to be attainable to you. So if you're like me, I can get 50,000 words, and sometimes even more than that. I think last Nano that I did, or the last actual NaNoWrimo, the lighting's going to do some weird stuff. Sorry, I apologize. But I did, I want to say 68,000 or something like that. So it just kind of depends on what you are doing, where you're at, and how often that you can write. So the third pro on my list, so I did 5 pros and 5 cons. That was weird. But I did 5 pros and 5 cons. So number 3 for my pros is the cabins. So cabins are great. It gives you something in your... lighting's gonna do some weird stuff. I apologize. But so the cabins are great. They give you people, so they put you in a cabin with 10, 15 people, something like that. I don't remember it completely how many people are in the cabin. You can set up your own cabin, or you can get assigned into a cabin or invited into a cabin or things like that. So the cabins are great. You can talk to the people in your cabin. You can private message them or write on the dashboard to everybody. But it just depends on what you want, if you have many writer friends, things like that. So that one kind of goes into number 4, which is community. You can meet a lot of cool people from the cabins that you have on the website as well. So That's always good. So it gets you involved in the community and all of that type of stuff. And the other one, number 5, I've kind of touched on a little bit, but it is manageable daily goals. So, like I said, my daily goal, regularly, my daily goal is 1,500. For Nano, usually it's about 12 to 15, just depending on how the month has gone. Also, with that, your daily goal can change. So let's say my daily goal is 1,500, but one day or several days I get over 3,000 words in that day. So it's, as the month goes on, they recalculate. So you update your how many words you have, and it recalculates your daily goal. So your daily goal can go down or up if you don't make your word count. Just depends on what you're doing and how your word count is going. So to start on my cons, and I have cons. The first con is making time every day. Personally, I like to write every day anyway, but like I said in my last video, I have a 1.5-year-old, and sometimes writing just doesn't happen when I want it to. Like yesterday, I got maybe 500 words in my work in progress. My daughter's been very clingy lately and has wanted extra mom time, and I'm going to give her that. So sometimes I don't get to write as much as I would like to. So that is my first con. Con number 2, if I miss a day, it's going to add on to the rest of my time. So let's say my word count is 15,000 and I completely miss a day. That 15,000 has to go somewhere. So it's just going to add on to the rest of the days. So let's say it's 15,000 and I miss one day and I have 15 days left, just to make this easy on my brain. My new goal is going to have to be at least 16,000 a day, unless I can get that 15,000 in one day, which sometimes I try to do that if I miss a day. Other times I physically cannot do that just with the demands of my life at the moment. So that makes it a little bit difficult sometimes, and it kind of just depends on what works for you. Oh, I only did 4 cons. That's okay. So the next one, number 3, was a pro and it's a con. Cabins. So you have, in NaNoWrimo, you have your goal for yourself. For me, my 50,000 word goal. For your cabin, you have a goal for the cabin. And your cabin goal can go up or it can not go up. So this last Camp NaNoWrimo in April, I did Camp NaNoWrimo. I was late to Camp NaNoWrimo because I completely forgot about it because I have a billion things in my world going on. So I jumped in about a week and a half, 2 weeks late. No big deal. It was obnoxious, but I would make it up. And I had been writing that month anyway. I just hadn't specifically put it in a Camp NaNoWrimo forum. So I get onto Camp NaNoWrimo. I'm already sorted into a cabin. And this cabin has this is 2 weeks in, halfway through Camp NaNoWrimo, and this cabin has less than 2,000 words amongst all like 15 of them. So I put my word count in for 3-4 days because I'm like, all right, well, maybe if I start putting my word count in, some other people have their word counts that they just haven't put in yet. It went up because I put my word count in. That's it. So you are able to switch cabins, but if you switch cabins, and I switched out of that cabin into another cabin, they were pretty nice for the most part, but I felt like because I wasn't there the entire time, it was a little strange, but their cabin was a little bit better about getting their word counts in. I honestly don't know if you get, so there's NaNoWrimo prizes and Camp NaNoWrimo prizes. I have no idea if there's a Camp NaNoWrimo prize or a NaNoWrimo prize for your cabin getting completed. I frankly don't have a clue because I've never gotten to that point with my entire cabin because I've had some troubles with cabins in the past. So maybe someday I will make my own cabin and we will be able to find out if that's the thing or not. Or I can Google it. I guess that's a possibility as well. So the next con, and I'm not really sure. Oh, I put for 4 is writing goals, and this would be your daily goal, because sometimes, like I said, it is hard to get that 1,500 words in. Sometimes you just don't want to do it. Sometimes you're to the point where you are over it, and I get that. I've been writing for a long time. I understand how obnoxious that can be, but there are different things that you can do to motivate you, to get you going. I know for myself, a lot of times if I'm struggling with motivation, if I read or if I even go online on YouTube and find some author tubers that I like to follow, sometimes that will give me inspiration, watching writing videos or things like that, to try to get back into the wanting to do it part. Or sometimes it becomes a big pit of, I'm never going to get off this, and I'm going to watch 15,000 videos and then be like, oh, I got 15,000 videos in, but where's my 15,000 words? Or not 1,500, sorry, it's a day. Anyway, moving on. So my experience with Nanowrimo, so this is the one in November. The last November is the one I'm going to talk about, and I do have an entire video on this on another channel, which I may post in the description, but I don't know. We'll see. If there's an interest for it, I'll stick it in there. But just quick rundown. So with the Rising Tide was actually, I started it technically before NaNoWriMo, which may or may not be cheating, but technically I got 50,000 words because, yeah, anyways. But I started it last March-ish, April, somewhere in there. I started writing it, and then I kind of backburnered it, and it kind of just hung out. I only got probably 2,000-ish words before I backburnered it, which is not great, but, you know, it's fine. But anyway, picked it up again for Camp NaNoWrimo, and I pantsed it. Not even going to pretend that I did not well, okay. I pantsed it. I had a starting point, an end point, and a few teeny tiny points in between, but the rest of it just kind of came to me. But yeah, so that one I started and completed with NaNoWrimo, or at least I got the 50,000 that I needed for NaNoWrimo. It wasn't even the book itself was not complete yet, but I did complete it within the first couple months of, or first couple of days of December. It wasn't that far from being done when I did it, and that is the one that is now published, and it'll be down in the description down below, and possibly in the iCard if I can figure out how to make the iCard work. Details. I knew at one point. I don't know if I still do. That one, I would say, worked really well for me for one reason. There was one day, and I don't remember how many words it was, but it was something like, so I had my 50,000 word goal. That was my total overall goal. One day I got, I think it was 16,000 words or something along that realm of, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's the only reason I won, but I won. The prizes were pretty good. I actually didn't end up using any of them. It wasn't really about the prizes behind it. It was just about the journey to get there for me. My prize in and of itself was having my book close to complete, or at this point now it is complete. So that's where I was at. NaNoWrimo in and of itself was really, really good for me. I felt like it pushed me as a writer, and that was actually the very first that was the very first Nano that I've ever won. And like I said, I've done Camp NaNoWrimo like probably 5 or 6 times. That was the very first one I had ever won, and that in and of itself was a huge accomplishment, and I was very proud of myself for that. So my experience with Nano itself was great. I don't remember if they do cabins or groups or whatever for NaNoWrimo. Honestly, I didn't participate in it if they did. But So this last April, I did my experience. I'm going to just go over my experience here real quick with Camp NaNoWriMo, and that one was a flop. So a couple of things happened in the month of April that made it so I was unable to do what I wanted to do with my writing for April. The first of which, and the most important, and most obnoxious, to be completely honest with you, so I got a new computer. I bought it used from my brother-in-law because it's a really nice computer, and it was only like $200. It's like a $3,500 computer. Anyways, he gave it to me, and he had at one point replaced the power cord, but he replaced it with the wrong power cord, so it wouldn't keep a charge. It would just, if it got unplugged, it would just shut off and lose all of everything. So after about the 6th time of losing part of my book, I was pretty much over that. So that happened a lot. The next thing that kind of deterred me from writing as much as I wanted to during April is both mine and my husband's birthday month. We're born 10 days apart. So we ended up going up to his mom's house for one weekend. We ended up going to the zoo and just having a good time and all that fun stuff, which was already pre-planned, which I totally had forgotten that April was NaNoWrimo month, so there was that. There was also the fact that I started 2 weeks late, and that my cabin was awful. So those are a couple of things that kind of deterred me from writing as much as I wanted to. But it was still an experience that I wouldn't change because it showed me the difference between me pushing myself in October and letting the circumstances in my world stop me in April. So I feel like it was a learning experience nonetheless, and I got to take it how it is. My last little bit here is, will I do it again? Will I do Camp NaNoWrimo again, or NaNoWrimo itself again? And my answer to that is absolutely yes. Because one way or another, it gets me writing. One way or another, I am moving forward as an author, and it gives me a goal. Having a goal in life is always the easiest way, specifically for me, to get from point A to point B. I have some really good, fun stuff coming up in my books, and I'm really excited about them. So absolutely, I will be doing Camp NaNoWrimo again in July. If you guys want to join me on that, let me know in the comments down below, and we will help keep each other accountable. And also, I feel like whether or not I finish Camp NaNoWrimo, and obviously I'm going to try to finish my goal of my 50,000 words. However, if I don't finish, it's still X amount more words than I had at the beginning of the month. So, long story short, absolutely I will be continuing with Camp NaNoWrimo this July, and as for NaNoWrimo this November, my plan right now is yes, but I will have a 2-year-old by then, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I hope to see you guys back in the comment section discussing what do you guys think about Camp NaNoWrimo or NaNoWrimo? So those are the 2 things. Number 1, tell me if you've done NaNoWrimo before and what you think of it. And number 2, let me know if you plan on doing it this July, and we can help keep each other accountable. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and thanks for watching this video. Bye, guys.